That's wonderful. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Now, I am a witch.
After 8 seasons, Bewitched not only solidified its position as one of the most successful sitcoms of all time, but also generated an enormous profit, estimated at over $500 million, a staggering figure for the television industry at the time. The show quickly became a global phenomenon, captivating millions of viewers with its unique storyline and outstanding performances. However, at the height of its success, Bewitched abruptly ended without any specific explanation, leaving countless questions and a deep sense of regret among its fans. Few could have anticipated that the real reason behind the show's sudden conclusion involved behind-the-scenes stories that were both mysterious and at times even more unsettling than the magical events depicted in the series. Premiering in 1964, Bewitched followed the life of Samantha, a powerful witch who decided to give up her magic to live as an ordinary woman, alongside her mortal husband Darren. The story skillfully blended supernatural elements with everyday comedic situations, creating a unique appeal unmatched by most other shows. The success of the series was not only due to its creative script, but also to its talented cast, who brought each character to life and turned them into pop culture icons. Yet behind the show's dazzling success lay darker dramatic layers, tensions among the cast's personal tragedies, and even a so-called curse, as several members of the cast passed away prematurely from devastating illnesses. 1. The Curse of Bewitched. Although Bewitched was a show full of laughter and magic behind its glamorous facade, lay a series of tragedies that made many believe the show was cursed. The actors who breathed life into the show's lovable and humorous characters faced heartbreaking and painful endings in real life, sparking rumours of strange and terrifying coincidences. Alice Pierce, who played the first Gladys Kravitz, the famously nosy neighbour of Samantha, died of ovarian cancer in 1966 at the age of 48. Despite her declining health, she continued working on set until her final days. Her passing left a huge void in the show, forcing the producers to replace her with Sandra Gould. But strangely, Gould, who took over the role of Gladys, also passed away this time from lung cancer in 1999. Gladys's on-screen husband, George Tobias Abner Kravitz, also could not escape tragedy. He died of bladder cancer in 1980 at the age of 78. This marked the end of one of the show's most beloved supporting characters, known for his humour and charm. Marion Lorne, who portrayed Aunt Clara, the clumsy but lovable aunt of Samantha, also passed away from a heart attack in 1968. Even more heartbreaking was the fact that she died just weeks before receiving her first and only Emmy Award during her career. Even Elizabeth Montgomery, the central star of the show, could not escape a cruel fate. In 1995, she passed away from colorectal cancer at the age of 62, leaving a profound sense of loss among her fans. Her role as Samantha was not only a hallmark of her career, but also a symbol for an entire generation of viewers. This list of tragedies goes on. David White, who played Larry Tate Darren's boss, died of a heart attack in 1990. Dick York, the original Darren, had to leave the show due to poor health, and later passed away from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease in 1992, at the age of 63. Agnes Moorehead, who played Endora. Samantha's mother also died of lung cancer in 1974. The consecutive losses left many viewers unnerved. Fans and even members of the entertainment industry speculated whether Bewitched was truly cursed. Some argued that it was merely a series of unfortunate coincidences, but it's undeniable that the number of tragedies surrounding the cast of Bewitched was a rarity in television history. 2. Elizabeth Montgomery's pregnancy during filming.
With the most marvelous sense of humor.
Humor? The baby?
Darren, I'm a witch, not a fortune teller. We'll just have to wait and see.
During the filming of Bewitched, Elizabeth Montgomery, the central star of the show, experienced 3 pregnancies. Notably, instead of concealing these pregnancies as most television productions at the time would have done, the producers of Bewitched chose to weave them directly into the storyline. This bold decision broke the unspoken rules of the television industry at the time, while simultaneously making the show more relatable to audiences and adding new depth to its narrative. 2 of Elizabeth Montgomery's 3 pregnancies were incorporated into the script, leading to the introduction of 2 important characters, Tabitha and Adam, the children of Samantha and Darren. Tabitha, Samantha, and Darren's firstborn daughter was the result of the first pregnancy written into the show. Tabitha quickly became one of the most beloved characters thanks to her adorable appearance and inherited magical abilities from her mother. Her accidental use of magic led to countless humorous and heartfelt situations, as Samantha had to juggle being a mother and managing her daughter's powers in a household with a mortal father. Tabitha not only brought fresh energy to the story, but also became one of the most popular characters in Bewitched. In fact, she even inspired a spin-off series named after her, proving the lasting appeal of the character to audiences. Elizabeth Montgomery's second pregnancy was also included in the storyline, resulting in the birth of Adam, Samantha, and Darren's second child. Although not as prominent as Tabitha Adams' inclusion, played a key role in expanding the story of the Witch family. Adam added a new layer to the family dynamic, especially with the humorous situations involving Samantha and Darren raising 2 children. One, a talented young witch, and the other, a boy discovering his powers. At the time, it was considered inappropriate for a pregnant actress to appear on screen. Television shows in the 1960s often hid pregnancies by using loose costumes, strategic camera angles, or even pausing production. However, Bewitched went against this trend, embracing and turning Elizabeth Montgomery's pregnancies into integral parts of the storyline. This daring decision not only reflected the show's supernatural creativity, but also brought authenticity and relatability to the audience. By exploring the joys and challenges of raising children in a witch family, Bewitched masterfully blended magical elements with familiar family experiences. Elizabeth Montgomery was not only a talented actress, but also the heart and soul of the show. Her pregnancies became not just personal milestones, but also important plot points, helping Bewitched cement its place as a timeless cultural icon. 3. Dick York left the show due to health issues.
Now we shall recreate the entire event.
Dick York, who played Darren Stevens, the mortal husband of Samantha, was one of the key elements of Bewitched's success. He brought humour, natural charm, and heartfelt emotion, highlighting the contrast between an ordinary man and Samantha's magical world. However, behind the smiles and humour on screen lay a heartbreaking story of declining health and Dick York's sacrifices for his craft. Before joining Bewitched, Dick York suffered a severe on-set accident while filming They Came to Cordura 1959. In one scene, he had to help a colleague pull a heavy cart. Unfortunately, the cart became unbalanced, causing York to fall hard to the ground and sustain permanent spinal damage. To manage the constant pain, York relied on prescription painkillers, which eventually led to dependency and worsened his health over time. Even so, when offered the role in Bewitched, York pushed through the pain to fulfill his part. In the early seasons, he skillfully concealed his condition and dedicated himself fully to portraying a humorous and sincere Darren Stevens. However, the pain grew increasingly unbearable, severely affecting his ability to work. The production team tried to accommodate York by adjusting the filming schedule, but this was only a temporary solution. By season 5, Dick York's health had reached its breaking point. During a filming session, he suffered a severe seizure on set and had to leave immediately. This incident forced York to make the heartbreaking decision to leave Bewitched to focus on his health. His departure was a significant shock to both fans and the production team. With his humorous, natural and charming performance, York had become a familiar face and a symbol of warmth and humour in the story of the Stevens family. After York's departure, Dick Sargent was cast to continue the role of Darren Stevens. However, this replacement sparked considerable controversy. While Sargent was a talented actor, audiences couldn't accept the change. York had left an indelible mark, making it difficult for viewers to embrace a new Darren. Sargent brought a more serious, less humorous portrayal of Darren, lacking the natural charm that York had embodied. This shift disrupted the balance of humour and emotion that had made the show so appealing. As a result, from season 6 onward, Bewitched's viewership began to decline, and the show lost much of its previous allure. This change became a harsh lesson for the television industry, demonstrating that audiences are not easily accepting of replacements in iconic roles. Despite Dick Sargent's efforts, he could not escape the shadow of Dick York. York passed away in 1992 at the age of 63 due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. His death left a deep sense of loss among fans who had loved him as Darren Stevens. Dick York was not only a talented actor, but also a symbol of dedication and sacrifice for his art, despite the pain and challenges in his personal life. 4. Why Bewitched truly ended. The sudden conclusion of Bewitched in 1972 surprised audiences worldwide, leaving them with countless unanswered questions. At the peak of its popularity with a steady viewership, the show unexpectedly ended without any clear explanation from the producers. Many believed that the show was cancelled due to a decline in its appeal, but the truth behind its conclusion was far more complex and dramatic. One of the biggest reasons was the exhaustion of its lead star, Elizabeth Montgomery. After 8 years of portraying Samantha the charming witch with her signature nose, Twitch, Elizabeth felt that she had been tied to the role for far too long. While Samantha had propelled her to worldwide fame and brought her immense success, Elizabeth wanted to break free from the character's image and seek out new, more challenging roles. Additionally, Elizabeth Montgomery's personal life was going through a tumultuous period. Her marriage to director Bill Asher, who was also the show's producer, was in serious trouble after years of working and living together. These marital conflicts significantly affected the working atmosphere on set, causing both Elizabeth and Bill to lose enthusiasm for continuing the show. Another factor contributing to the show's decline was the replacement of the actor playing Darren Stevens. After Dick York's departure, Dick Sargent took over the role, but audiences struggled to adjust to the change. Although Sargent was a talented actor, his acting style was entirely different from York's, and Darren's character seemed to lose the humour and charm that had made him so endearing. This led to a noticeable drop in viewership, particularly in the later seasons. In reality, ABC, the network airing Bewitched, wanted to continue the show and even offered to renew it for 2 additional seasons, seasons 9 and 10. However, Elizabeth Montgomery firmly refused despite being offered a substantial salary. She wanted to end the show to focus on her personal life and pursue new opportunities in her career. Therefore, the real reason why Bewitched ended was not because of declining quality or viewership, but rather due to the personal decisions of the people behind the show. Elizabeth Montgomery's fatigue, her crumbling marriage with Bill Asher, and the pressure to maintain the appeal of a series that had been on air for nearly a decade were the primary factors leading to the show's conclusion. The end of Bewitched in 1972 marked the conclusion of an iconic television series. Nevertheless, the show left a lasting impression on its fans, becoming an integral part of popular culture. Bewitched proved that even the most magical stories could not escape the pressures and realities of real life. 5. Conflicts among the cast. While Bewitched brought a world of magic and laughter to the screen, the backstage dynamics were far from harmonious. Conflicts among the cast, particularly between Agnes Moorehead, who played Endora Samantha's mother, and Dick Sargent, who replaced Dick York as Darren Stevens, often created tension on set. Agnes Moorehead, a veteran actress with a strong personality and high standards, had been very close to Dick York, the original Darren, and admired his talent and dedication. When York had to leave the show due to health reasons, Moorhead felt it was a significant loss not just for Bewitched, but for herself personally. When Dick Sargent joined the cast as York's replacement, Moorhead was openly displeased. She felt that Sargent lacked the charm and natural humour that York had brought to the role. The differences in acting style between Sargent and York only deepened Moorhead's sense of loss. As a result, she often maintained a cold attitude towards Sargent on set. Moorhead even avoided interacting with Sargent outside of filming, and their relationship never truly warmed. This tension not only affected the personal dynamic between the two actors, but also posed challenges for the production team. The producers had to work hard to maintain a professional working environment and prevent personal conflicts from impacting the quality of the show. However, this was no easy task, especially since Moorhead was one of the show's biggest stars, and her opinions carried significant weight. Despite their off-screen tensions, both Agnes Moorehead and Dick Sargent were consummate professionals. On screen, they flawlessly portrayed their characters, delivering humorous confrontations between Endora and Darren, one of the show's most memorable highlights. Audiences were unaware of the real-life coldness between the two actors, as the on-screen clashes between the witchy mother-in-law and her mortal son-in-law were vibrant and entertaining. However, the replacement of Darren, particularly the casting of Sargent, caused many viewers to feel disconnected from the show. Despite Sargent's efforts to bring a different take on Darren, audiences could not forget the impact of Dick York, a shadow too large to escape. The backstage conflicts, combined with the pressure of maintaining the show's appeal, contributed to a less cohesive atmosphere on the set of Bewitched. This serves as a reminder that even in a magical world like Bewitched, real-life challenges and tensions are unavoidable. 6. The role of Gladys Kravitz and her heartbreaking story. Gladys Kravitz, the nosy, bothersome but hilarious neighbour of Samantha, was one of the most beloved supporting characters in Bewitched. With her constant suspicion and relentless attempts to uncover the strange happenings in Samantha's household, Gladys brought numerous laugh-out-loud moments to the show. However, few people know that this role had to be recast after the second season, and the reason behind it is a heartbreaking story. Alice Pearce, the first actress to play Gladys Kravitz, delivered a flawless performance of the character. She perfectly embodied the nosy woman who was always suspicious, but never believed by anyone, making Gladys even more amusing and memorable. With her natural acting, humorous expressions and distinctive voice, Pearce made it impossible for viewers not to laugh whenever Gladys appeared on screen, especially when she tried to convince her husband Abner about the strange events in the Stevens household. However, during the second season of Bewitched, Alice Pearce was diagnosed with terminal ovarian cancer. This was a devastating shock not only for her, but also for the production team. Despite her rapidly declining health, Alice Pearce continued to work. She delivered energetic and passionate performances as if nothing was wrong. Audiences had no idea that behind her laughter and comedic scenes was a woman battling immense pain and a relentless illness. In 1966, Alice Pearce passed away at the age of 48, shortly after she received an Emmy Award for her outstanding performance. This award not only recognized her talent, but also served as a tribute to an artist who gave her all to her craft despite the challenges she faced in her final days. After Alice Pearce's passing, the role of Gladys Kravitz was taken over by Sandra Gould, another talented actress. Gould continued to bring humour and charm to the character of Gladys, but Alice Pearce's portrayal remained an irreplaceable icon in the hearts of fans. Sandra Gould also stayed with the role for many seasons, but she too later faced tragedy, passing away from lung cancer in 1999. The story of the role of Gladys Kravitz is a testament to the dedication and tireless work ethic of the actors in Bewitched. Alice Pearce not only defined the character of Gladys, but also left an indelible mark with her remarkable talent and effort. The role of Gladys Kravitz will always hold a special meaning, not just for the humour she brought to the screen, but also for the touching story behind the scenes. 7. Inspirations from 2 films. Bewitched was not as entirely original as viewers might have believed. In fact, creator Saul Sachs drew direct inspiration from 2 classic films, I Married a Witch, 1942, and Bell Book and Candle, 1958. However, this was not merely a case of borrowing ideas, it was a clever and calculated strategy. Interestingly, both films were owned by Columbia Pictures, the parent company of the studio that produced Bewitched. This allowed Sachs to recycle ideas from the films without worrying about legal or copyright issues. In I Married a Witch, the story revolves around Jennifer, a witch cursed by fate who accidentally falls in love with a mortal. The love story between 2 vastly different worlds, one supernatural and one mortal, became the foundation for the relationship between Samantha and Darren in Bewitched. Jennifer, much like Samantha, was a powerful witch caught in humorous and heartfelt situations while trying to adapt to mortal life. Meanwhile, Bell Book and Candle introduced the image of a seductive, strong and powerful witch. The protagonist, Gillian Holroyd, not only possessed supernatural powers, but also exuded sharp beauty and an air of arrogance. This clearly inspired the character of Endora, Samantha's mother. With her fiery personality, commanding presence and disdain for her mortal son-in-law, Endora was not only a fascinating antagonist, but also carried many similarities to Gillian in Bell Book and Candle. Both films explored magical and romantic themes with subtlety, skillfully creating conflicts between the magical world and ordinary life. Saul Sachs brilliantly wove these elements into Bewitched, but instead of merely replicating them, he transformed them into a fresh, humorous and relatable story for television audiences. Remarkably, despite being inspired by 2 famous films, Bewitched surpassed its sources to create a unique television empire. The show not only redefined the concept of the modern witch, but also turned Samantha Stevens into a pop culture icon. With her signature nose twitch and charming personality, Samantha left a lasting impression on viewers and became a beloved character for decades. Bewitched stands as clear proof that creativity doesn't always lie in coming up with entirely new ideas, but in how old ideas are reinvented and transformed into masterpieces. By combining magic, modern life, and humour, Bewitched became a timeless television phenomenon, not just a source of entertainment, but also a significant part of cultural history. Bewitched is not just a TV show. It's a timeless cultural legacy. With its perfect blend of humour, magic and social messages, the series has become an unforgettable part of the memories of millions of viewers. From shocking behind-the-scenes secrets and the real-life tragedies of its cast to the characters who became icons, Bewitched has proven that whether on-screen or in real life, true magic lies in creativity, passion, and a love for the arts. Thank you for watching. Bewitched isn't just a show, it's a piece of cultural television history. If you enjoyed these fascinating behind-the-scenes stories, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to discover even more secrets. See you in the next video.